it's a good thing to have Narcan in every classroom, right? But there's still schools out there that are fighting that. They don't want it in every classroom. They don't want it in a first grade class, a second grade class, a third or fourth grade class.
Sure.
Because look, the reality is it's probably not going to happen. But why take the chance?
I'm Flindt Andersen, founder of PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need. I've been in recovery since 2001, and there isn't much I don't know about recovery. And my mission is to constantly tell the truth about addiction, to make the realities of addiction, recovery, and drug culture known, and to drive awareness and advocate change that ultimately saves lives.
And I'm Jason LaChance, a certified recovery coach with a passion for speaking with others and sharing their knowledge to help others seek recovery and maintain long-term sobriety. And this is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need. Mr. Flindt Andersen, how are we, good sir?
I'm good, Jason. How are you today?
I'm in a collared shirt. Are you proud of me?
You know what? When the first time I saw it, I was going to say something, and I thought, nah, all right, you look good, man. You look good.
Thanks. I want to grow up like you. It's got the little Ferrari logo. I'm ready to go.
I like it. You bet. Bright red, man. It looks good.
Yes, sir. High speed into some stories here that I want to kind of plow through with you. We've talked about the potential of shifting tides when it comes to the addiction crisis, fentanyl crisis, homeless crisis, public safety. But our good friend Tom Wolf, who's in San Francisco, posted that this was as of last night, that feds did a night operation and made more than 50 arrests, including organized drug dealers. So the feds are getting involved here now. So nice. There is a shift that is coming. And it's so funny to me and yet disheartening. Much like our governor planting 110 CHP officers in Oakland now. And it's like, yeah, you guys knew this all along.
Right.
We still lost 100,000 plus lives. Yeah. And now the reaction's coming now. Mm-hmm. But it's like, hey, good sign. I'm glad this is going on. There were no injuries in the arrest, nothing, the arrests were just made. 50 plus arrests.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, we could probably look at this from a national level at this point. I mean, and again, we're not big on politics around here on who's who. But when I was watching the convention last night, the Republican National Convention, it's almost like there's a shift. There's just a shift going on in the country. I think people have had it. I think people have had it with crime. They've had it with drugs. They've had it with the evil chit chat between politicians. I certainly know that I have, and again, I just think people are finally fed up. And so again, how does that play into the feds, and how does that play into DEA and all that sort of stuff? I don't know. But look, I think these law enforcement agencies, they know that something has to be done. We, the general public, knows something has to be done. When you have drug dealers, especially in San Francisco, that have been just so blatant for so long. I mean, everybody we've talked to up there, from Steve Adami to Tom Wolf, that the Hondurans and the Mexican cartels. I mean, they're just running rampant. There's nobody stopping them. And so I don't know what's taking everybody so damn long, but I sure do welcome it, And it's definitely about time. Yeah. But let's see what the punishments are going to be.
Yeah. I'm interested in that as well, because one of the other interesting things that I had stumbled upon, concerning San Francisco and some other cities, is the amount of children in those cities has gotten so little. It's getting less and less and less. Families are wanting to leave. Businesses are pulling out of all these places, and California is the worst of the worst. And it's, like how did we get here? This was such a beautiful state. Granted, I was just in Southern California. I was in the Anaheim area, beautiful, felt safe walking the streets, but it wasn't that I didn't see, some homeless individuals, but there was nothing of concern. I didn't see anything that displayed to me that they were using fentanyl or anything along those lines, because, hey, we're educated. We know what it looks like.
Right.
But these are certain pockets and areas, and it's just incredibly disheartening that these realities have happened. Families aren't wanting to be here anymore. And it's sad, because this is a beautiful state, and San Francisco, like you and I both love the city. I lived there for a year, and I remember going out to eat at 2 a.m. and never feeling unsafe.
Right.
Granted, there was still, of course, crime at that time. This was late 90s, but we, in a group, we never felt safe. And so I'm hoping these shifts come back, because I agree with you. I think more people are wanting better societal values again. I think there is a desire for a sense of community again, and people are fed up. We're fed up.
Yeah. Somebody, I don't know who it was, but they posted something about San Francisco and Fisherman's Wharf the other day, and it really hit home with me, because they went down to the wharf and Alioto's, for those that remember Alioto's, I mean, that was a landmark restaurant. It was there for, probably since 1882 or some damn thing. And I mean, I remember as a kid and a young adult, and even middle-aged, going to Alioto's. I mean, you almost lived to go to Alioto's and down on the wharf, and gone. It just, the videographer was just showing, and all that little strip there next to Alioto's, where he had all the little fish markets, they're all gone. Everything. I mean, it's just sad to see that. And, hopefully someday, some of those places can make it back. I mean, I don't know if they ever will, but I would certainly hope so. But like you said, the majority of us are tired of it, and change has to come, because we've just let it go so far. The only place to go is up.
Yeah, right.
I mean,
and speaking of that change, and this was something, me, I go down rabbit holes of research. It's just how my brain works. But back in November, actually, of last year, Melanie's Law was passed, and this was after a 15-year-old Hollywood High, Bernstein High School in Hollywood, 15-year-old student Melanie Ramos died of a fentanyl overdose. And this bill, Senate Bill 10, was actually passed into law back in November of last year, aimed to prevent fentanyl overdoses in California schools, signed into law. The long and short of it reads that essentially that California schools have to come up with a plan. Middle schools and high schools have to come up with a plan to prevent and respond to fentanyl overdoses. This includes training teachers on life-saving fentanyl responses, providing students and adults resources on what they need to know about the opioids. Some are falling a little short here.
There's a lot of them falling a lot short is what they're doing. I mean, look, for us that are in this thing, I'm sorry, but I didn't hear about Senate Bill 10. I don't know if this thing just passed and it got shoved in, in a drawer somewhere. I don't know. But it's time some of us start making some noise about Senate Bill 10 and why aren't these schools doing more? Again, I want to say that our area has improved greatly on the Narcan front. It has, but we still have lots more room for improvement here. Mm-hmm. I mean, again, it never seems like we just tackle the whole problem. We tackle bits and pieces of it, and and people need to understand that Narcan is a great life-saving tool, but it is not a treatment tool. It is not going to help somebody with somebody's addiction. What it's going to do is save somebody's life. So hopefully we can get that person into some sort of treatment. But if people don't know about treatment or the options that they need to know about, I mean, it's again, we're just tackling a small piece of this thing.
Yeah.
Because again, in the past, schools they've gone in stages over the last 16 years or so, where they would allow us to come in and tell our stories, and then they got to a point where no, they weren't having us in, and then they were saying, no, you guys need to soften your stories a little bit. You're scaring. No, we're not scaring the kids. All right, what we're doing is we're telling them the truth about addiction and how they don't want to go down the road that some of us chose to go down, but that many of us don't make it out of.
Mm-hmm.
And now it seems like that has backed off as well.
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
They'll have people come in to talk about Narcan. They'll have law enforcement come in and talk about it. But very few that I've seen over the last few years have allowed others to come in to go, hey, there's more to the story here. Okay. And if you do, and if you don't listen to what we're talking about, all the rest of this stuff is irrelevant.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so somehow we've got to get those schools. I've said it for 10 years. You just can't, a school just can't bring a speaker in once a year. That speaker, no matter who it is, whether it's me, whether it's somebody else, but that speaker needs to come in twice a semester and hit it hard.
Yeah.
And hit it hard and educate more and more and more. Like anything else, the more educated you are on something, obviously, the more knowledge you're going to have, the better you're going to understand it. The better you understand it, now there's solutions that can take place. But we just throw, as a society, we just throw everything out there and see what sticks a lot of the times. And most of it doesn't stick.
Yeah.
Because it's not being explained right.
Yeah. Well, and I'm sure the poor family of Melanie and we could speculate on her experimentation level and whatever else. It might be hard to believe that this was their first time trying a substance, but they don't. That doesn't bring their child back. But an understanding that with these kids, there's so much going on underneath the surface that they're not sure where to turn her to go. And these new things, being loaded with hormones that you've never had before,
Right.
All that. And, the world's gotten to be a more confusing place, with the internet and social media and all these different things. And yeah, if we're not educating and giving them different options and things to explore, be it places to go and talk or after school settings to thrive in and to grow, I don't know what more we're going to do, because you're right. It's not enough. It's not enough to just be like, here you go. It's not, you nail it. It's like, oh, my kid had almost overdose. Thank goodness Narcan saved their life. Great. What did you do after?
Right. Right. That just saves the life. It doesn't solve the problem.
Yeah.
It doesn't, at all. Does it solve the problem? There's and there's so much more to it. Again, for years, we've been talking about the fact that let us get in there. Let's let them truly know who and what an addict is and how it affects our lives. What are the steps to getting help? Talk about the realities of private treatment versus governmental aid treatment, because there's a huge difference there. I don't give a damn what anybody says. There's a difference between a treatment center that is going to do a medical detox and a treatment center that's basically going to throw you in a room and say, pray your way out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Not every treatment center medically detoxes. And with these drugs today, that person needs to be medically detoxed. They need to be under a doctor's care, and the right treatment center needs to be used here. I mean, the difference between outpatient and inpatient, there's a huge difference in that.
Mm-hmm.
But none of that is being explained to anybody because we're not being allowed to explain it to them.
Yeah. It makes me wonder, what is that caveat, that avenue to be able to do it? I mean, when we've seen some, I've gone with you and you've spoken to some very switched on students, the group of teenagers that are doing the fundraising actually for pain, part of their school stuff that they're doing, and made that election. So there is an element that is educating themselves, and that is great. And hopefully in that being, awareness isn't enough.
It's not.
What I mean by that is, I was aware of a lot of things. I grew up in a home of addiction. I was very aware of what it was.
Right.
But it goes to show how much we can get in denial of not me.
Right.
And, being an early 20s guy, pretty late bloomer, that was very much the mindset. Not me. Sure, I drove drunk that time, but who doesn't, or whatever it was. Right. It's the stories that we'll continue to tell ourselves, and hopefully those opportunities come up to be able to come in to have a student take a look and just make that empowering decision over the disempowering one of, I don't have to go down that road. One of my best friends, he's never had a drink or a drug in his life, and he's one of the most happy, fulfilled people that I've ever met.
Right. What's interesting is that in the last 5-6 months, I've really seen a decrease in even the awareness piece.
Mm.
We're not seeing a lot of it. Like I said, just the beginning of 24, even up to now, it's I'm wondering why.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really wondering why. Maybe it's going on in some larger cities. I don't know. But here locally, I don't see as many posts. I just don't see it.
Yeah.
So what is everybody thinking, that this has just suddenly disappeared on us? That it's gone away, that addiction is still, or addiction has left and nobody's addicted anymore and nobody's using drugs and fentanyl deaths aren't happening anymore? I mean, seriously, where does it go? Where did the true advocates go in this?
Mm.
I mean, we got to ask ourselves the question.
Yeah. I spoke with a lady here locally, because I live up in Merced County, that I reached out, and she's like, not doing so well. My best friend, or a good friend's son, died of a fentanyl overdose. And I pondered what you just put out there. And we've got 2 billboards, one along the freeway, and I forget where the other one is. Yeah. Is that really gonna, I mean, it's good. Thank you. But is that really going to do it?
Right.
Is that enough?
It's just not enough.
No.
It's just not enough. And so, I mean, again, I hate to repeat myself, but where is everybody?
Yeah.
Where is everybody in this? Where are the schools? what is the big deal here? Why aren't schools more involved in this? I know it's summer and school's out, okay, but it wasn't out in May, it wasn't out in April, it wasn't out in March, you know. And this is the time, you know, and March, April, May, is June. That's the time to hit these students before summer break. You know, I would like to see stats actually on during the summer and overdose deaths and see if there's an uptick.
Right.
You know, I really would.
Yeah, and that's such a valid point, because it brings up, sure, as we're talking about Melanie's law that is designed to prevent the death of young people in schools, but they're not in school all the time.
They're not dying at school.
Yeah. I mean, some, but no, yeah. The majority, no.
I mean, again, it's a good thing. Let's don't have people misunderstand us. It's a good thing to have Narcan in every classroom, right? But there's still schools out there that are fighting that. They don't want it in every classroom. They don't want it in a first grade class, a second grade class, a third or fourth grade class.
Sure.
You know, because look, the reality is it's probably not going to happen. But why take the chance? I mean, how many? I mean, again, these are factual cases of kids that age that have actually died of a fentanyl overdose because they've touched it, they breathed it, whatever the case may be. Not everybody lives in Leave It to Beaver homes. Okay, you know, so what is the big deal of having it in a first grade classroom? I'm sorry, I don't understand. Call me stupid, call me whatever you want. Right. But I don't understand what is the harm. And if this law, which I've read into it a little bit, okay, it's requiring every teacher to be trained on it. So if you've got a first grade teacher trained on it, why wouldn't you have it in that first grade teacher's classroom?
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, at 559-579-1551, or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
Do you think it is a perception of the, you know, sometimes people think, like, when we've talked, you know, various harm reduction things, you know, back in the day as a designated driver and condoms, that it was like, oh, you give them permission to drink now and have sex and all these things. Like, no, you kind of probably going to explore some of this stuff anyways. It's part of life, I guess, culture. I mean, shoot, you know, it's booze is on every damn billboard from, I think by the time I get to PAIN from my house, I pass 10, 15. I mean, come on, it's out there. It's marketed. It's still on TV. It's, you know, other than pharmaceuticals, it's the one drug you can advertise. So, I just wonder if that's some of the mindset. Do you think that it's like, oh, it's in the classrooms, and the misinformation or misunderstanding about what Narcan is? Because I think people miss the mark, and you always say this, and if it's not an overdose, no big deal. You're going to get a runny nose.
Right. I mean, again, am I missing something here? There is nothing negative to having Narcan in every classroom. It's not a narcotic. You're not going to get high off of it. You can't overdose from it. You can shove 20 bottles up your nose and you're going to get a runny nose. I mean, that's it. So I'm just not, and I'm tired of some school districts saying, oh, well, you know, we're worried about the parents suing us. Stop worrying about it. I don't care. Okay. How do you measure the what's the worth of a life? What's the worth of a child's life?
Yeah.
You know. So guess what, school districts? Better have your attorneys pull their heads out okay, and be ready to defend you if that happens.
Yeah.
But sometimes you're just going to have to. But by the way, if this law has passed and it's mandated, why the hell aren't they doing it? Why isn't somebody making sure it's getting done?
Yeah, I don't know. It went into effect as of January 1st, 2024.
Yeah.
So we're 7+ months in.
So even with one of our local school districts here, well, why isn't it in every classroom?
Mm-hmm.
If that law states that it needs to be, then why aren't they following the law?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I wonder, I would like to read that in a little more in depth. You would think that Narcan would be a part of that process, but I wonder if some of them are finagling around that and just, we've done awareness campaigns, and it's, you know how it is. I mean, goodness, people, this isn't this isn't a recall. Like you said, these are our young people's lives.
This is life and death. This isn't something just breaking down and you can recall it and get it fixed. Once they're gone, they're gone. And there is no bringing it back.
Yeah.
And that's the scary part, but also what also concerns me a little bit here is the fact that how specific were they in this law about what school districts need to do as far as what is awareness?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is it Red Ribbon Week, which we all know is bullshit? Is it is it just simply, again, the campaign, just say no, don't do drugs. What is it? What's the meat? Okay. Mm-hmm. What's the meat of the program that these schools are now required to do? Because there's so much over the years, there's so much wasted money, wasted time, wasted effort on programs that don't mean a damn thing. And when you even ask these kids about Red Ribbon, do you know where Red Ribbon Week has most of its effect? Is on 4th and 5th graders. Okay. Because that little mind of a 4th grader and a 5th grader, they can comprehend just say no to something. But you start telling that to a 13-year-old and a 15-year-old and a 17-year-old, they're going to tell you to go pound sand. Mm-hmm. They all think it's a joke. Every single one of them think it's a joke.
Yeah.
So again, what is the law saying that these school districts need to do? I don't know. We need to investigate that a little bit more.
Yeah, we'll dig further on that. I'm good at that. I'll get into it and get a little bit more, and maybe even reach out to some of our media partners and see if they've gotten any further information, because that was difficult for me to find and what that meant. I mean, I found that the information about the law, the basic premise of it, what it was set to do, but nothing about what the actual nuts and bolts of it are.
Right.
Which hey, it's a nice step in the right direction, but a little bit disheartening if it's not treated that we have to come at this full bore, because we do.
Right. Absolutely.
We do. Well, Mr. Andersen, before we wrap up here, do we want to talk about the wonderful folks at Granville real quick and our involvement in the Home of Hope?
Absolutely. Yeah. So for those that are curious what that is, Granville Homes is one of our local home builders here in the San Joaquin Valley, and wonderful people. They Darius Assemi and his group over there are absolutely wonderful in helping nonprofits, helping our community, and they give away a home every year for free, and it benefits, and all the proceeds are going to benefit 9 local nonprofits here, which gives us a great jump on being able to get funding in order to help us continue to do the work that we do. We actually get to keep 100% of all the tickets that we sell, and it's pretty amazing. Darius and his group have done this for, geez, I want to say 11 years or 12 years maybe now. And we've been a part of it for the majority of that time. And again, it benefits the community, it benefits the nonprofit. So, you know what? Give us a call. If you want to buy a ticket, tickets are $100 for the drawing for the house. We have tickets that are called bundles, which you get 2 tickets for that house and also a chance to win a Lexus for 2 years. And it's a pretty good deal for $100. And, yeah, it really is. So, yeah, we always want to thank Granville and our partnership with them. It's been going on for years, and we just can't say enough about that, about
Absolutely.
the organization. Yeah,
absolutely. And for more details, I do have the link there in the podcast description for you to read up on it, the rules and everything else. And in addition to the house and the car, if you purchase a bundle, there are some other additional prizes that will be given out to as a part of it. And like you said, all those proceeds benefiting 9 wonderful organizations in our community that do a lot of good. And so it's always an honor for me personally, not only to be a part of that, to be a part of PAIN and carry this forward. So, we definitely thank anyone that's going to purchase some tickets and make some contributions in that way. And hey, we would love for one of you guys to win that home for sure.
You bet. Actually, we've had a couple people over the years. We had some people that were part of our family group here. They won the house one year, and then we had another couple. They won the Lexus. So yeah, so we've had some pretty good luck with it so far.
All right. Well, Mr. Andersen, anything else you want to add?
You know what? It's like I said. I like this shift that I'm kind of seeing. Again, a shout out to the feds, the FBI and DEA and whoever else, local law enforcement who was ever involved in that bust up in San Francisco. Great job. Now let's leave it up to the prosecutors to keep these people in prison for as long as possible. And let's start cleaning up our streets a little bit more here so we can all live that happy life that we want.
Yes, sir. And we thank you all for listening to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, brought to you by PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need.
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need at 559-579-1551 or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at PAIN Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.